I'm here this morning talking to Dr. Vishal Mangalwadi. Pronounced right?
Yes,
oh,
very good. Thank you.
He's the author of two particular books that I've read, Truth and Transformation and The Book That Made Your World. Now, most of us have grown up in the humanistic public education system where God has been removed from history and the biblical worldview removed from the motives of explorers, scientists, artists and writers. During your extensive research as an unbeliever, what did you discover about the Bible and its relationship to Western civilization?
Thank you for that wonderful question. It was very interesting to me when I was in the university going through the same kind of humanistic education that you went through. I realized that my university, which was in one of the most important Hindu cities in India, where the largest Hindu religious festival, in fact, largest religious festival in all of the world happens in that city. It was also a city very important for Muslims. It's called Allahabad, which means abode of Allah. But in that city, in my secular university, we didn't have a Muslim mosque. We didn't have a Hindu temple. We had a Christian church. So I began asking, why do we have a church in this Hindu city in North India? And I began to realize that the university was established by a Christian administrator, governor of northern India. And then I began to realize that all of the modern education system in India was established by the people who believed the Bible and wanted Indians to study and read the Bible. And in fact, I went on to understand that the entire university, the university was invented by the church. And the Christian church was establishing all the earlier universities and colleges. So the answer to that question is that it was because of the Bible that modern education began. Now, unfortunately, later the church got out of the education, left the education with the secularists, and they have turned education because they know that they don't have the truth. Therefore, now current education is not interested in truth. It's not interested in morality, in character building. It has been reduced to passing on information and teaching skills. So education has been devalued, and in fact, since college education turns young people away from Christ, away from the Bible, away from truth, we have this huge problem in the whole of postmodern world where young people are not interested in cultivating the discipline of a godly and righteous character, and the West is sinking because of that.
Yes. In fact, tolerance in our nation has come to mean that the treatment of all faiths should be equal. Why is Christianity not just another faith on the same level as other faiths?
Well, the simple answer to that is that Christianity is more than a faith. Christianity is faith in truth. You must know the truth. You study the Bible because if you study the Bible, Jesus said, if you remain in my word, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Christianity is about seeking truth, believing what is true, and being set free. Other religions are not based on truth. The truth is not a passion of other religions, like Hinduism, for example, is essentially based on mythology, that there is some occult and there is some mystical experience. Buddhism, on the other hand, is primarily about mysticism. Buddha rejected Hindu mythology, Hindu gods and goddesses, and was interested in mystical experience, though he also taught a lot of parables, and there are stories, and then there is much occult in traditional Buddhism as well. Islam is based on the private revelation of the Prophet Muhammad, which others cannot verify. You have to believe it or you get the sword. So it is private revelation enforced by the power of sword, that's the foundation of Islam. Not that later Islamic philosophers didn't develop philosophy or apologetics, etc. There is a Muslim apologetics, there is a Muslim theology, but the essence of Islam is that it is built on private revelations of a man who was militarily powerful and therefore was able to enforce and keep. Islam survives by threat of force. It's illegal to convert. You'll be killed, your properties will be confiscated, your daughters will be taken away from you, stolen, etc. if you convert. So and none of these other religions, except for Judaism, have a passion for truth. So Christianity is faith. It's not skepticism, though it is not dogmaticism either, because what is truth requires meditation and understanding and humility to correction. So Paul says, if a prophet is preaching, the rest of you should judge whether this is really from God. Don't believe it dogmatically because the person says that this is a revelation from God. So Christianity is in essence about truth. The law came through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus, and Jesus said, I am the truth. So the problem with current understanding of tolerance is that we should tolerate everybody because nobody has the truth. Secular humanism knows that it does not know the truth. Therefore, if you don't know the truth, then tolerance is in fact has become another name, a synonym for skepticism. That when somebody says, I'm tolerant of all religions, what he means is that I'm doubtful of all religions, I'm doubtful of all truth, I don't really believe truth, and I'm not really interested in truth. So if you say that you know the truth, you are simply ruled out as a bigoted fundamentalist. So tolerance is a Christian virtue. An individual Muslim can be tolerant, a Hindu or Muslim or atheist can be tolerant. But the only reason tolerance was institutionalized as a public policy is because of Christian commitment to truth. And John Milton was the first. He was a Puritan poet. He was the first person who argued for tolerance in Western history, in British history. He wrote a little book called Areopagitica. And the heart of his argument was that we should tolerate false ideas, publication of false ideas, because we should allow truth and falsehood to grapple with each other. In free and fair combat between truth and falsehood, truth will always win. So the reason Britain institutionalized tolerance was so that people might know truth. Postmodern world has turned it upside down.
I was listening to one of your sessions on the internet, and you were talking about how the westernized versions of Hinduism and Buddhism was like a toy compared to the real thing. And we noticed that there are a lot of Christians, well, not just Christians, but a lot of people trying to embrace bits of each religion, piecemeal, take a bit of this and a bit of that. What are some of the dangers of trying to mix these kinds of things?
Well, because once you reject the fact that there really is a God who knows everything and He has told us about Himself, you have no option but to imagine God. Make God in your own image, out of your own mind. So the people who are taking bits of this, bits of that are like Jeroboam, one who split from Rehoboam and separated Israel from Judah. When Israel split into two nations, Judah was led by Jeroboam. And Jeroboam made two golden calves and said that these are the gods that brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Therefore you worship them. So he was making idols which is taking bits from here and bit from Jewish history and creating a new syncretic religion. He was making myth. Myth is invented by the human mind, and myth has an agenda. Jeroboam's agenda was that people should not go to Jerusalem and worship in the temple of the Lord, because if they go there, they will fall in love again with the house of David, and they will kill me and give the kingdom back to the house of David. So this myth-making is a humanistic effort that I will create gods that suit me. I'm not going to submit to the authority of truth. A Christian is someone who wants to believe that which is true, not which the foolishness of my mind has invented. So if I invent God, I'm simply fooling myself. As Isaiah says that, a carpenter takes a wood and he chips it away, and then maybe a goldsmith comes along and puts a gold coating in it, and I begin to worship it, that this is God. So I'm inventing my own God. It's convenient because then the gods that I invent obey me, in theory. I don't have to obey them, and I don't have to submit my life to the authority of God that I make. And that's the problem. But if my mind is already foolish and my heart is deceitful, then the gods and myths and religiosity that I invent and create will only lead me into further foolishness. It will rationalize my folly rather than transform me. So Paul is saying, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. I should use my mind to discover truth. Christianity is about discovering objective truth. That's why the modern science was born, because in fact the best book on the birth of modern science, it was written by a secular professor of sociology here in Bond University in Australia, Peter Harrison. He spent 7 years looking at all the scientists who created modern science, the pioneers of modern science, to understand the dynamics. Why was modern science born in 16th and 17th century and only in Europe and nowhere else at any point of history? And his answer is, his book is called The Bible, Protestantism and the Rise of Natural Science. And his argument is that natural science was born because of Protestant hermeneutics. Protestant hermeneutic was that allowed the text to speak for itself. Read the text objectively. We should look at nature objectively, not impose our preconceived ideas on nature. So idol worship or myth making, which is what syncretism is, that I take bits from here, bits from there, and I create my own religion, is fooling myself, is saying that I'm not interested in truth, I'm going to create my own truth, which I know is folly.
Yes, that's so true. What then do you think, as a church, we should do, besides preaching the gospel, which is the obvious? I think some people have a very limited scope as to what that means, but our ministry certainly is trying to encourage parents to disciple their children for faithful generations, multi-generational faithfulness. But what should the church be doing to try and reclaim the culture for the Lord Jesus Christ?
Well, the church should follow your example because you're doing the right thing. Who gave the state the right to educate your children? If children are to believe truth, it's your responsibility when the festival of Passover is being institutionalized. God is giving responsibility to the family, to the parents, to the father, to teach truth to their children so that they are reminded what the truth is. God who delivered them out of slavery, which they know that He delivered us. So you must know the truth, you must believe the truth, and parents must make sure that our children are learning truth. Now, you can only teach your children up to this level, and your home schooling needs to grow into church college. 10, 20 Christian families coming together and appointing an academic pastor under your church, and students should go to church, and 10,000 Christian families getting together, funding creation of a curriculum which is teaching truth, and all of this curriculum can be on the internet, it can be in books and DVDs and iPhones and radios and everywhere, and students can be going to the local church Monday to Friday when the church is closed and studying truth there. So the only way to transform culture, as I see it, particularly in the Western world, is for church to take over the responsibility of discipling young people, the next generation. If you let the world disciple the young people, you aren't going to be able to win and fight the culture. So the Western church does have the intellectual resources and the ability to create a much better curriculum than any university can teach, because every university has some good professors and a lot of mediocre professors, and Christian college may have one or two good professors and faculty and a lot of mediocre professors. There is no need to send our young people now to study under mediocre professors. We can create a curriculum which takes the best available knowledge, information, and make it available in the local church. So your children, if for some reason a child cannot even walk 5 minutes to the local church but has to stay at home, the curriculum is available. His friends from the church can come to his home, watch the lectures on DVD at home, while the young people help the parents or grandparents, whoever needs to be looked after. So education can be integrated into real life community, and we don't. 1,000 years ago, 800 years ago, young people had to go to universities because there was no books, there was no library. But right now, a child staying in his home can access 1,000 libraries all over the world. So there's no need for anybody, especially for undergraduate studies, to go to a college, to go to a university, to spend $25,000 a year. Education can be $1,000, $5,000 a year if it is happening in the home and in the local church.
Dr. Mangalwadi, would you describe to me some of your most important books that you've written?
My latest book is called The Book That Made Your World, How the Bible Created the Soul of Western Civilization. It came out of 2 lecture series that I did at the University of Minnesota at the invitation of the McLaurin Institute. Some of those lectures can be heard on my website, and in fact, as we speak now, the videos of the second lecture series, 11 videos, are being uploaded. But the book is The Book That Made Your World. That would be a good starting point. A slightly simpler, more accessible book is Truth and Transformation, Manifesto for Ailing Nations. Another book which is available in Australia is called William Carey, The Legacy of William Carey, A Model for Transforming Culture. Those 3 would be good beginnings. But if somebody is interested in Hinduism, New Age movement, then my book, The World of Gurus, is available. It's in print. When the New Age Gets Old, Looking for a Greater Spirituality is out of print, but I think there are a few copies available with Pastor Kim Dale in Mount Tambourine. Twice I came to Australia 10, 15 years ago, and it was because of the second book, which is taught in many universities, but it is unfortunately out of print. The World of Gurus is also taught in many universities, but it is available even now.
Dr. Mangalwadi, thank you so much for your time. As you can hear, we need another Reformation, and you all need to be part of it.
Thank you. That's absolutely true. Thank you so much for having me here in your city of Adelaide and in this church. And may the Lord bless this DVD that you're creating and the books that you're writing. You already have wonderful family, wonderful children.
For more information, please write to info@faithfulgenerations.com or visit our website at www.faithfulgenerations.com.